Switching corner speed, you're watching Guns N' Roses Central.
Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Guns N' Roses Central. And today we're talking about the third song from Use Your Illusion 1. And we talked about Dust and Bones, and we talked about the opener, Right Next Door to Hell. And today we're talking about a cover song. So I think when a lot of fans were anticipating the Use Your Illusion albums coming out, I think maybe some of the fans knew that, okay, Knocking on Heaven's Door is probably going to be coming out. It showed up on the Days of Thunder soundtrack, and they had performed it previously dating back all the way to 1987 at the Marquee Club, which was the first live appearance of the song. But I don't think a lot of people knew that it was going to come out on the Illusions records, unless you watched the Axl Rose interview he did with Kurt Loder on the show Final Last Words. It's called Famous Last Words. I had a brain fart there. And he revealed in that 1990 interview that they were doing a cover of Live and Let Die, and he talked about how it was sort of like their version of Welcome to the Jungle 2. It was like a sequel to that song. Now, the original song was written by Paul and Linda McCartney back in 1973. It was written for the James Bond movie Live and Let Die, which of course had the same name, but it was performed by Paul McCartney's band Wings. And a lot of people tend to ask, well, does the original artist ever comment on a band's covering their music? Did Paul McCartney ever comment about Guns N' Roses? And yes, he did. There was a short interview he did where he was asked about what he thought about their cover of Live and Let Die. So back in 2016, Paul McCartney did an interview with the New York Times where they asked him, are you familiar with Guns N' Roses' version of Live and Let Die? They played it at MetLife 2 weeks ago before you got there, but your pyro was much more explosive. To which Paul McCartney said, it's funny because when their version came out, my kids were in school and they had a lot of defending to do because all the kids said, great song, Live and Let Die. They said, my dad did that. No way, it's Guns N' Roses. I was happy they did it. I thought it was a little nice nod. I'm glad to hear our pyro is bigger and better. Now, the big misconception is that Live and Let Die was a huge juggernaut single for Guns N' Roses. They probably made a ton of money, but when in reality, it's usually the artist who originally wrote the song and owns the publishing, whether it's the songwriter or maybe the management company or it could be the record label. They're the ones who make the bulk of the money. So let's look at who performed on the song. So Matt Sorum, of course, played on the drums. Duff McKagan played on the bass. Lead and rhythm guitars, as well as 6-string bass, were played by Slash. Rhythm guitar was played by Izzy, and the piano was played by Dizzy Reed. The synthesizer programmers, they had Johan Langley and Axl, while Axl did vocals, of course, and keyboards. They also had horn players, including Duff McKagan's own brother, Matthew McKagan, Rachel West, Robert Clark, and John Trotwine, while Shannon Hoon and Axl performed background vocals. So the song was played for the first time in May of 1991 at the Warfield Theater in San Francisco. But what a lot of you may not know is that the song was at least arranged by the band as far back as 1989. So last November, we interviewed Mark Cantor, who was a close personal friend of the band, and in 1989, Guns N' Roses opened 4 shows for the Rolling Stones. In that interview we did with Mark, he revealed that Axl was really excited about premiering their version of Live and Let Die, but for whatever reason, the band never ended up playing their cover of it. A music video ended up being released for Live and Let Die that basically just featured some montage clips of the band on tour during the early leg of the Use Your Illusion tour when Izzy was still in the band. A lot of the footage is taken from those early US dates, from those European shows that Izzy would play before leaving. So also mixed in with the live footage are some early childhood photos and younger photos of the actual members of Guns N' Roses. The song would end up charting at number 20 on the Billboard Mainstream Rock charts, and it would also be nominated by the Grammys in 1993 for Best Hard Rock Performance. Now, it wouldn't end up winning, but what's funny is Guns N' Roses being such a successful band, they have never won a Grammy in their entire career, but Velvet Revolver won a Grammy for their song Slither back in 2005. The single would end up being released on December 3rd, 1991, and it would feature 2 B-sides. One would be the Live at Wembley performance that Guns N' Roses did of Live and Let Die that was also broadcast on the MTV Awards. It was also Izzy Stradlin's last show at Wembley Stadium, and then it also features Shadow of Your Love as well. Now, the members of Guns N' Roses have talked about covering Live and Let Die. So in 1990, Axl did an interview with MTV's Kurt Loder on the show Famous Last Words. So during the interview, Axl said, I thought about it once a long time ago, but just thought you would never be able to get it the way that it sounds, that well. And then I rented the James Bond movie Live and Let Die. I was watching it and the song comes on and it's like Welcome to the Jungle 2. and it just felt right, so we ended up playing it a little bit in rehearsal and it started working, and now we've actually gone and started recording it and finding out, wait, we are good enough to play this song. We didn't think we didn't think that we were good enough to get it right, but Slash is doing most of the string arrangements on guitar with the harmonizer. To me, it's like Tom Waits meets Metallica. It's the way that I sing it so rough and scratchy, like I sound like Tom Waits. It's working out really good. It sounds like us. Everybody who hears it thinks that it sounds perfect. It's a perfect song for us. And then Axl also talked about it in a 1992 interview with Metallica. He said the presses like to show pictures of us as children, kind of where we started, but they also did it with an attitude to hurt us or something. That's why in the video for Live and Let Die, we show pictures of us all as children in the background, coming in now, and then some of our favorite shots of us as children to confront that. My stepfather shot a video of our entire family and of his entire family all the way back to the great-great-grandfathers, and he compiled that video. Through doing certain work with my family, with understanding what was going on there now, it was very strange, very surreal, and very disturbing. I use a shot in the beginning of the video from when I was about 3 or 4 years old. I come in the door with a toy gun and my dad happened to film it. That went on the video. He sent it to me with some sound effects over it and a comment kind of putting me down, letting me know he's still on top of things or whatever. But that's not the fact and I don't accept it. So it's like, no, I'm using it my way and that's me and don't forget it. So that scene that Axl's referring to is the very beginning of the video where the kid walks in the door, he has a toy gun, so that's Axl as a child. So Slash also talked a bit about the song. He said in a 1992 interview with Guitar Magazine, he said it's one of those songs like Heaven's Door that Axl and I always loved. It's always been a really heavy song, but we never discussed it and didn't know that we each liked it. He said we talked about it one night about covering a song and that came up and we're like, yeah, let's do it. So I went to rehearsal with Izzy and Matt and Duff just to see whether we could sound good playing it, and it sounded really heavy. It's actually heavier when we play it live than it on the record because of the horns and synthesizers. Live it's got more bottom to it. Slash also talked about it in his book. He said about Axl's fondness for synths and keyboards during the production of the Use Your Illusion albums. He said when we did Live and Let Die, it was all synths. Those horns are not horns. What Axl did there was really complex. He spent hours dialing it all that shit in, getting the nuances just right, and I have to give him that. The music video for the song was featured on the 1998 Guns N' Roses video compilation called Welcome to the Videos. It would also later be featured on their 2004 Greatest Hits album. And the best usage of the song in a movie was probably the 1997 film Grosse Pointe Blank, which featured Minnie Driver and John Cusack. So the movie is primarily about a hitman that's played by John Cusack, who's going back to his high school reunion, and the clip of Live and Let Die being played in the movie is actually available on YouTube, so I've linked to the clip if you guys want to see how it's used. In 2008, there was a UK magazine called Total Guitar Magazine, and they ranked their top 5 cover songs of all time. So number 1, of course, was Jimi Hendrix' All Along the Watchtower, which was originally written by Bob Dylan. The Beatles' Twist and Shout, which was written by the Top Notes. Guns N' Roses' cover of Live and Let Die was number 3 on the list. Number 4 was Nirvana's The Man Who Sold the World, which was originally written by David Bowie. By the way, I hate David Bowie's version. I think Nirvana's version is absolutely excellent. And then Muse made number 5 with the song Feeling Good, which was written originally by Anthony Newley and Leslie Bricusse. And even politically correct shock jock Howard Stern has even said he loves Guns N' Roses' version of Live and Let Die. Now, Spin.com ranked it as the 32nd best Guns N' Roses song out of their 80 or so songs they have. They said the Use Your Illusion one take on Paul McCartney and Wings' 1973 classic succeeds in every way that Knockin' on Heaven's Door fails. Like the Dylan cover, Live and Let Die does not deviate from the original one bit, but gives the band just the right amount of heavy metal theatricality as the massive dramatic chords pack a satisfying punch, although former timekeeper Steven Adler's sense of swing is sorely missed on the Use Your Illusion albums. Matt Storm's brand of stadium rock drumming fits in perfectly here. Meanwhile, Medium.com ranked it a bit higher at number 26 on their list. Now let's talk a bit about the meaning of the song. So I think the meaning of the song is when you're young, you don't really know the ways of the world, you're kind of naive, and you really want to think the world is a good place, but as you get older, you learn from experience, you have your own experiences, you realize that you really have to not worry about what other people do and sort of push them away and push them off to sort of live your life yourself. And Axl's made numerous comments about this during the Use Your Illusion tour before he'd introduced the song. So that does it for this episode of Guns N' Roses Fun Facts. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and let me know where Live and Let Die ranks for you in terms of the best Guns N' Roses songs. For me personally, I like the live version of the song better. I agree with what Slash was saying. I think when they're live, they don't have as much of the synths going on, or I mean, they probably have so many layers on the Use Your Illusion records that at least live it sounds a little bit more hard rock and a little bit more edgy.